every story has a happy ever after. And after this story, there's an after party.
Stay away from a pregnant Amanda in my relationship.
Absolutely.
Damn straight.
Yeah. And you know what? I'd probably, I wouldn't yell at Dennis because he would not make any kind of advanced moves, but I'd have, the talk of, listen, guy.
Bitch, what you doing?
You do realize that this hussy is flirting with you, and he'd be like, no.
Huh?
It took me 5 dates and a marriage to realize that Amanda liked me.
Be like 3 months into our marriage, I think you might kind of like me a little bit. What was the goddamn hint, Dennis?
Okay, you know what? I'm still Sam Logsdon under quarantine.
I'm still Amanda Pierce at an undisclosed location, aka my apartment. And Zenu's here. Guess
yay! The cats unfortunately can't be with me right now because my partner has his music equipment set up in the room for doing live shows, so I can't really have them in here because they'll run on top of the piano keys. And even though it's really funny in YouTube videos, it actually does damage to them.
And plays bloody hell with your recording equipment, I'm sure.
With how many wires I have, it's a goddamn nightmare. I think on my, thankfully not my mic wire, but my headset wire, there's little tiny, kitty teeth marks.
Oh.
It's a
little kitty teeth marks.
It's magically malicious.
Yeah, I'm sitting on my bed and Zenu's wrapped in a blanket, so.
Oh, sweet boy.
It cozy little man like a little potato.
Folks, we got a good episode.
Yeah, you wouldn't know it from our digressions, but yep, good episode.
Yeah, no, this is just typical Sam and Amanda bullshitting. We're not stalling because we don't want to talk about this episode. We're stalling because we miss each other's faces, and this is one of the very few times we get to socialize in these trying times.
And because no matter what, I love my cats more than I love this show.
And I also love Amanda's cats more than I love this show. But not as much as I love my own cats.
Yep, that's the hierarchy.
So this episode is kind of packed full. This is Once Upon a Time at its best. The plot is moving forward, and the flashbacks do two things. It does exposition, as well as explained why he be like this.
We have character development. We have interesting plot twists and turns on fairy tale stories.
We have magic, and most importantly,
we have Giancarlo Esposito in a very starring role.
Yes.
I'd say that's most important, but
it is, because he's an excellent actor. I'll kind of get into some of his background information when we cross that stream. But this episode is so good. Amanda, I'm going to let you go through the things that matter to the overarching story that you and I personally don't give a shit about.
Oh, okay. I can do that.
Just so that the audience can stay on board with what's happening in Once Upon a Time, and we'll get to the sweetness.
Do you want to get on Storybrooke then? Because that's the boring one. It always is.
Well, here's the thing. In Storybrooke, when you're talking about moving the overarching plot forward, there's, I think, 2 or 3 things that happen. The first is David and Mary Margaret secretly meet each other for the picnic, and they don't bother us for another 2 episodes.
And they just bang, apparently. I'm assuming they bang. Mary Margaret gets a yuck in this when she shows up when Sydney and Emma are talking.
Yeah.
And she's rationalizing. She's like, if you're doing a bad thing for a good reason, it's good, right? Right? And then she sips her tea. And I like her having a nervous breakdown a little bit over being a terrible person.
It almost, this would not work nearly as well but there's part of me that wants to see like an alternate universe where like just for one episode, Jennifer Gooden and Lana Parrilla switch roles just for one episode. Because we're not there yet, but young Regina, Lana Parrilla has the acting range to be naive and to be overly compassionate. So she a really good Mary Margaret. And Jennifer Gooden has just like the cuntiest face that she could pull off being like a snarky, sarcastic, evil queen.
And I like that, kind of like we mentioned the last episode here, that she is given something other in that, just in that scene, because that's really all she's in other than the picnic. She is given something other than be nice and smile. So she's given kind of a minor panic attack. And
yeah,
like it.
I don't know if I would call it like a panic attack as much as it was like a existential crisis. I guess
that would be it.
Yeah. Let's see here. There we go. I could see your lovely face again. Your lovely Skype picture. So, Mary Margaret and David piss off for a few episodes. I made the mistake.
We are family.
Because it's biologically. So they piss off, and I made a mistake last time saying that the stranger revealed to Henry that he is a writer. That happens in this episode. In the grand scheme of things, no. It comes into effect later, and that's why I mention it. But for right now, we have better things to talk about. Mainly, one thing that I personally I can't not talk about it because it matters a great deal in this episode. But Henry buries his book at the secret meeting place that him and Emma go to, like this rickety old playground that looks like a castle. For Pittsburghers, think Dormont Park.
That's exactly what I was thinking, because I have such warm nostalgic feelings about Dormont Park. It's like Dormont's better because it's huge. But yeah, and it gets damaged in the rom-com storm from the episode before. It's like partially dilapidated now.
So we can actually, through fourth wall breaking, blame David and Mary Margaret for destroying it.
Yeah.
Because the writers had to give them a reason. The writers had to give them a reason to be huddled up in the storm together, and the storm caused the collapse of Henry and Emma's meeting place castle.
Listen, I'm working on charts and graphs and stuff to blame them for Corona. So, yeah, let's blame them for that, too.
Can we just say that, like, the combination of their names is like an anagram for I am Pepe Sylvia?
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely it. And, oh my god, from Usual Suspects.
Kaiser Sose.
And he's the killer they're the killer from Seven. And...
Funny you should say that. Don't say anything, though. People who have seen those movies are laughing their heads off right now. And anybody who hasn't seen them, watch it. Then watch this episode again. Or sorry, listen to this episode again. I'm sorry we're getting sidetracked, but this is literally very therapeutic for us. So thank you for putting up with it. And you know what? Skype your friends. FaceTime them.
Kids,
it helps.
I haven't left my apartment except for once to go to my mom's in a week. So I'm a little cabin fevery. I'm a little kind of Corona punch drunk from all of the news. So this is going to be a lightly woven episode, to say the least. But you know what?
But thankfully, it's a good episode.
You can hang out with us too.
Believe me, we're going to get there.
You can hang out with us. We can hang out with you. We can all get through this together.
You know what? Right now, because I have a beverage of choice in my hand. If you guys like tea or coffee, or like tea or coffee with whiskey in them, just put this on pause. Go ahead and make it. make sure that you're wearing something nice and comfortable. And when you're ready, just cuddle like we are.
Yeah,
You know?
I'm in my
We're
pajamas
family.
in bed with some cinnamon coffee and
Cinnamon coffee. Oh
no
dear.
chocolate, just coffee. Yeah,
Mouse
my
is
brother's
listening.
family did that over Thanksgiving. They just added some cinnamon to the coffee grounds, something I've never
Ooh,
done before, and I'm like, ooh, that's actually really good. So,
I do that pretty frequently. Like not every
yeah.
day, but like when I know that I can relax with my cup of coffee. Oh yeah,
hmm
like that and like a little bit of ginger and turmeric.
Ooh, maybe I should try some cocoa powder. We don't have any right now, but I could do cocoa powder and cinnamon and do an Abuelita
Do it in
coffee.
a French press. Do not do it in a
Ooh,
coffee maker
because
because
it'll melt.
the cocoa can get like tacky, like even in a coffee filter.
Oh,
So yeah,
okay.
tips for home folks. If you're going
Yeah,
to sit this out in the apocalypse, we might as well give you like DIY ideas on how to treat
drink
yourself.
tips. Drink tips.
Happy ever after party, it's really happy ever after care.
I really recommend cream bourbon in your coffee. Like a cream bourbon whiskey. It's really good. I've had that before. At
And for the
Teco,
with
actually.
dairy allergies, they do make dairy substitute ones. Like Bailey's has an almond milk. Bailey's.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's super cool. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you,
We got
Bailey's.
a lactose-free ice cream in the fridge because I ordered delivery from Whole Foods. So I'm exploring all house delivery options for different things. But
Ah,
got some
well,
veggies, got some chocolate croissants.
I'm all stocked up. But I'm somebody who kind of grew up with scavenger feasting. So
Yeah.
how I'm cooking now is how a lot of people aren't used to cooking. So,
hmm
you know what? Uh,
I
tell
I
you
used
what,
to
in the
call it
com
pantry roulette.
basically,
It's
so,
especially when I would be when I would when I was still drinking, I would
mhm,
pass out at a friend's place, wake up the next morning, and whatever was in their house, odds and ends that existed in people's places in college usually. That's what I would make for food or breakfast or whatever. So I called it pantry
yeah.
roulette because you never know what you got.
And I'm just somebody who doesn't like to let things go to waste. So
hmm
a lot of the time, even though I like to have certain meals planned, I'd say like maybe 4 meals out of the night is just looking at what I have and seeing what I can do with it.
That's how I learned about curry powder and soy sauce and eggs over leftover rice.
Again, folks, we're sorry about the tangent, but we want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. So
Yeah,
this is an episode plus. This is a deluxe episode
an
of Happy After
XXL,
Party.
if you will.
Mm-hmm.
This is a magnum
Um,
size.
just to
So
recap,
Dormont Castle.
Henry, Mary Margaret, and David, the people who me and Amanda typically don't like talking about, we don't have to worry about them for a couple of episodes.
Yeah,
It's
they
worth
pretty much go MIA.
celebrating. Yeah, and you know what? If you really want us to get like nitty gritty into like the overarching plot, I don't know why you're still listening to us.
Yeah, watch the show.
Yeah.
It's free.
So,
I mean, it's kind of free on Netflix.
Storybrooke.
Yep.
The big thing that happens in Storybrooke, um, as we said, this episode focuses largely on Giancarlo Esposito, and like episodes before it, there is a mirror story going on.
I see what you did
Ha
there.
ha ha. Where we kind of see what Regina has done to him after the failed election,
hmm
and we get to see how he became trapped in the mirror. And I can say that because in episodes prior to this, we see him in the mirror. And
hmm
it's really cool to. I like what they did here because initially, when I first started watching this show, I was listening to his voice as the mirror, and he sounds just like the old Snow White movie mirror. Like how they did that vocal distortion and everything. That's
hmm
just his voice, you know? So like when I was watching this initially, I was just like, okay, cool. Regina has a sprite in the mirror. Let's move forward. But no, he gets a backstory, and it is a great backstory. But before we get into that, let's talk about drunk Sydney Glass.
Yeah. So, hey, person I don't trust and haven't trusted up until this point. Apparently, Regina got him fired, and now the longest story short, is still oh, you got your little paw stuck on my blanket. I'm sorry.
That's
him
folks.
and
That's the story. He got his paw stuck on the blanket.
No, you got your little kitten claw stuck on my blanket. The kitty cat who got his claws stuck in the blanket, aka Sydney Glass, and Emma decide to pair up to try to tear down Regina.
Yeah, so after the failed election, he is fired from the Mirror, and he's like, yo, Emma, I got some dirt on Regina. You need me, let me know. And Emma actually does get the good line of like, wow, Sydney, you want a side of bacon with that whiskey? Because again, it's Granny's. We don't know what kind of restaurant it is.
Okay, did I mention this before? Because I don't think I did.
Yes, no, you did. We had a whole thing on it.
Where there is actually a line of whiskey up above it. There's a bar, like way up high on that thing between like the kitchen and the restaurant. Up on that top shelf, there are liquor bottles with no labels on them.
Are you sure they're just not like
I'm positive. No, they are boozy bottles because they're different sizes and styles. So, listen, it's the true mystery of this show, to me, is unraveling Grannies.
And I'm not going to spoil this for anybody, but we do in fact see a different restaurant layout, but we can neither confirm nor deny that it isn't Granny's.
It's Granny's. They're all Granny's.
It's all
always Granny's.
So anyway, Emma does in fact take him up on the offer, and what we discover is there is, like an
idiot.
Yes, my dear. Would I lie?
Mm-hmm. I just posted a picture on my Instagram of Ramirez judging me from the doorway while we were recording.
Ha!
So check that out.
I will. So anyway, Sydney Glass has information that Regina has taken $50,000 of taxpayer money, has removed it from funding for an unknown purpose. Emma goes to confront her.
Oh, well, she tears down. They're tearing down the Dormont Castle. It's not called the Dormont Castle, but they're tearing down the wooden castle because it's damaged and dilapidated after the storm. So,
like any responsible person would do.
Yeah, that's what she says. It's unsafe for him to play on. That's why I think it should go on good parenting, or that's nice on her chart for this whole episode because she's right. But
well, keep in mind, even though she is technically right, that's not why she's doing it.
She's doing a good thing for the wrong reason, which Mary Margaret says still makes you a good person.
Well, when the fuck have we started listening to Mary Margaret?
When she gets all stressed out and freaked. That's the only time
I get stressed out and freaked out all the time, and you never listen to me.
No, that's just hysteria. It's because of your Roman uterus. But, so they find out.
Grew like so long ago, I don't think that I have seen it in the better part of like how many years.
Tap dancing all around your body cavity.
Oh god, what's that? What's that fucking movie? Bad Biology. It's like Bad Biology, even instead of a walking dick, it's a uterus.
Yes. But the thing is, once you find out that $50,000 is missing from the planning foundation or the city, you're like, oh, she's probably building another playground.
So this is technically true, but the show doesn't do that.
And when you especially when they find the building plans,
be using it for? And Emma goes to confront her and basically tries to publicly humiliate her during a town hall meeting. And Regina's like, no, you idiot. There's this playground that my son used to play on that was horrifically unsafe and it got blown over. I'm using that to make a new playground that is so much safer. And the townspeople are
It's really not, because it has a lot of sharp, pointy corners, because it's based off of her castle design.
But here's the thing, the show knows nothing.
There's a lot of sheet metal.
Not only that, but in order for you to do that, a mayor can't just, like, surprise a town and do it. You still have to have a meeting for it.
Yeah.
You still actually have to go through paperwork, and, like, even though you might not make it, like, public, you still have to talk to those city council people about it first.
Yeah,
so it's so dumb.
You can't do, like, midnight transactions with Mr. Gold to buy part of Woods. Which also, that seemed pretty far out of town. Who's going there?
How big is Storybrooke? Where are the boundaries? I mean, like,
listen, I'm still trying to crack the riddle of grannies. You can deal with the size of Storybrooke.
I want something to happen, and it never does. I mean, like, it kind of does, but not in the way that I would like it. Like, you've seen Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
I want to see a bird fly into the border. You know? And that doesn't fucking happen.
Do they have a population count on it?
Because
I know Twin Peaks does.
Well, yeah, Twin Peaks does. I don't think Storybrooke does. Because that would actually mean putting thought into production.
I need to know now. Continue.
The point being, Regina gets to publicly humiliate Emma instead of the other way around. This whole thing about finding out about the $50,000 before Emma tried confronting her publicly, put a bug in her office, tried to meet Regina when she was doing a transaction with Mr. Gold, but they got into a car accident because the brakes were cut, as Sydney Glass pointed out. Hint, hint.
The sign just says, welcome to Storybrooke. Damn it.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like a lot happens in Storybrooke, but it's all character base. Mm-hmm. You know? We get to see how Emma, in the writer's eye, is seen as the moral authority, but it is just never executed well. Sometimes they do a good job, but it's so few and far in between that, like, moments like this, where it's like, dude, you are the sheriff and we appreciate you investigating things like fraud, which is actually up Emma's alley. Mm-hmm. Like, if you go based on her actual credentials, she is experienced in dealing with people doing illegal money transactions.
Yeah.
That is actually something she is qualified to do.
Well, so, she's a whatchamacallit?
She's a bail bonds person.
Yeah, bail bonds person. Bail bond woman. Hashtag feminism. I need more coffee. You're going on a walk with me.
That's beautiful. I'm stationed here. At some point I should take a picture of my setup.
Hey, booger.
Not because it's good, but because I want people to know that, like, what we do is very, like, it's easy to do. It just requires a lot of physical work.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just sit down and record.
You know, I don't want to plug in another podcast that we're not directly associated with, but I feel like it's wrong to not at least talk about one of the podcasts you and I both love so much.
Yeah.
Being Last Podcast on the Left.
Oh, yeah.
You definitely Henry.
Me?
Yes.
I just grabbed a chocolate croissant. I'm very happy.
And
Stop
I feel
eating
like
them.
And I feel like if
you're allowed one more. I love you.
And I feel like if Ben and Marcus had a baby, I would be that baby.
Yeah. I feel like I might be closer to Ben because Ben does no actual research.
He does no actual research?
No, he does no research. He comes in blind.
I think for the purpose of this whole thing that we're doing, it's kind of fun that way because it's not that you don't know shit. You know a lot of things. So for you to kind of have like the blind
naivety of a young child is what I like to say.
The fact that we need to use baby oil on you.
Oh, yeah.
It makes you perfect podcast fodder.
I am swimming in it.
I mean, save some for the mothers.
Okay, do we need anything else from Storybrooke? Because I'm kind of over it.
I am too, but not before saying that the dumbest part of the Storybrooke episode is coming to the realization that Sydney Glass has been working for Regina the whole time, including well, it's implied. I don't actually think she puts out for him though.
She grips his thigh.
She touches his thigh. Based on the fairy tale portion, I think she's just friend zoning him, but to like the hardest of hardcore. And I don't believe in friend zoning.
No, nor do I. But if there is active friend zoning, that's what she's doing to him.
Yes, she is being incredibly sexually manipulative without the act of sex.
She's straight up using him. Like, she's using his feelings for her own ends.
Yes. So it's kind of like the opposite of what happened in 3 episodes ago, where we realized that Rumpelstiltskin is playing 3D chess.
Mm-hmm.
So is Regina. Like, the fact that she knows that she can still use Sydney to convince Emma that he doesn't like Regina and is still working for Regina, to the point where he was able to be in a car with Emma that he cut the brakes on and could have potentially gone into a really bad accident.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Emma says she tried to kill her.
Yeah. It could have happened. And of course, like, whenever you see the crash on TV, it's like TV car crash. So it's like,
they went over a log.
You guys got a flat tire. Congratulations. But the fact, like, in theory, that is really, really messed up. But this goes to the flashback portion. Why he be like this?
Why?
And now, ladies and gentlemen, before I tap into this, I would like to cue up the jazz. Now, people who have seen this episode before are going to maybe bring up the fact that in his former life, Giancarlo Esposito was in fact a genie. And some people might want to question why an Italian African American man is playing something of Arabic culture. And they might want us to talk about cultural appropriation. Now, sadly, that's going to have to wait until season 2. If you're going to be angry about cultural appropriation, that's the episode to do it.
You should have started in the early 90s when they had Robin Williams play him.
But that actually brings me to the lore portion of it. Jinn are some of the most fascinating bits of pre-Islamic Arabic culture. We tend to think about things like Fae in terms of like paganism, but when Christianity took over Europe, we kind of got these really interesting tales that incorporated folklore with Christianity. And the thing is that is what happened to the Jinn over time. But before that...
D-G-I-N-N.
Well, actually...
D-J-I-N-N, sorry.
There's 2 different ways to spell it. There's D-G-I-N and there's J-I-N-N.
I split the difference and do D-J-I-N-N.
I like that version, partially because of Wishmaster. Actually, 100% because of Wishmaster. I'm Amanda, when I watched this episode, because I just watched it again before talking to you. But the time before that, I watched the episode, I loved it, and then I watched Wishmaster. Because that's how my brain works, and I had the day off. But anyway, the Jinn aren't necessarily always depicted as wish-granting entities. And also, it's not like how Wishmaster says it, where they were necessarily evil. The Jinn are basically closer to the mortal realm than they are the ethereal realm. So just like humans, and like the thing you have to understand about Islamic culture is how much like the folk Arabic ethics really kind of help shape that culture, is that nobody is inherently born good or evil. So the concept of like demons and angels, like they don't really register as that. Sort of like Amanda, you might be able to chime in on this, but like the kami in Japanese culture. So they're kind of nature based, and they're more like, they're very neutral entities, and they care a little bit more about the realms they serve than what humans perceive as good or evil. But the difference is, like, the Jinn, because of how close they are to mortality, but yeah, they can be persuaded to be good or evil. And it's that little part that I kind of want to take with us when we get into the fairy tale portion of this. If it seems like I'm ranting and raving, it's because Once Upon a Time has given me nothing to research.
Yeah.
I haven't gone to nerd out about this goddamn show in so long.
I don't nerd.
I love nerding out about fairy tale stuff because, like, and especially things that aren't fucking European.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I want to do Ravenous at the end of the season.
Yes.
I think the problem with reviewing things is there's always that fear of, am I doing this too much like MST3K? There's always that fear, but it's never a bad thing, because even the people from MST3K and Rift Tracks are like, no, we kind of encourage people to do this too.
Yeah.
You know,
they kind of had to figure out what they were doing also. So,
although one of my favorite visual gags came from the first episode of MST3K with the electric bagpipe with all of them singing a whole lot of love. Okay, so again, we're not stalling because we don't like this episode. We're stalling because we miss each other.
And we have to fish.
We fish.
If you're lucky and Sam actually cut what she said she was going to cut, you didn't hear us put our order in at Woolies. Woolies, support local business.
Yes. Oh, can we do like a random plug right now for just like businesses in general? Okay, yeah. So I'm sure a lot of you who listen to this are pretty big supporters of local business, but a lot of restaurants and smaller services have really stepped up their game to try to help people during these times. If you don't know who is open, just call and ask, you know? If there's a bar you like to go to, see if they're doing food for delivery.
Or local
I know there's a lot of breweries. I ordered something from a local distillery, Quantum Spirits in Carnegie. If there was a whole segment on the news yesterday about laundromats still being open. So if there's something that you rely on that you have to go out in public for, see how they're accommodating people for the situation. You know, like the people who are most affected by this are the smaller businesses and the people who can't be in contact in large crowds right now. So everyone's just trying to work together.
They still got to pay rent.
Yeah.
You know, they still got to pay
and
their
landlords have not been forgiving.
Yeah. So, Apis is also a really cool place. It's doing curbside pickup. They'll run it out to you.
Although I think with Apis, they're not doing it every day. They're only doing it select days. Quantum Spirits, if you call them, they'll actually schedule you for it. But I think that they're open most days now. It's not like they're
delivered within 20 minutes or 20 miles of Carnegie.
Yeah, I ordered it on Tuesday and it got delivered Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and check out their social media too. Like a lot of them will post on Instagram or whatever if they're open for delivery. If you're like me and have social anxiety about calling people.
And if you feel like, okay, let's say you're not part of the restaurant or booze industry, and you're saying to yourself, well, I'm an accountant. I have an office job. I'm not really able to see my clients right now. What am I able to do? Well, maybe you could do what a lot of musicians are doing, and they're doing all these live request shows. Maybe if you want to set up an Ask Me Anything for your profession, look into that. I'm very fortunate enough where my job is to work from home. If you couldn't tell by my horribly grating voice, I do voice acting for a living.
Horribly grating?
Yeah, you boobs. I do voice acting for a living.
I don't know why both of the cats are just staring at me.
Probably because of my voice. But anyway,
and my mom's a pianist, and she's been trying out doing like Google Hangout or Google Call, Skype call lessons with her students.
Yes. What we're trying to get at is we live in a day and age where so many people have persecuted technology for separating us, but it's actually one of the very few things right now that's going to connect us. So if you are struggling, reach out, talk to your peers, look at how other people are still able to thrive or support each other.
Or food and watch Once Upon a Time. Oh, yeah, and brother little head kisses.
I mean, cuddle up with your cats. Like, if you go to the Redbubble page, like, there's Happy Ever After Party blankets. It's perfect for snuggling. Tumblers. I mean, I'm not saying that you should think about us before supporting other places, but you know what? Toss a coin to your bitchers.
Yep. That's a pretty good one. We need that on a shirt.
So Fantasy World. Genies. I went on a huge long tangent about the jinn and their origins and how, again, very importantly, they can be manipulated to be good or evil. They are not demons. They are not angels. They are, in effect, kind of on par with human. They just happen to be more magical. So, Giancarlo Esposito. I also feel like I need to mention something about him, too. Remember how I said his voice is kind of perfect for being the mirror? His mother was a opera singer from America, African American. She's an opera singer. And his father was from Italy, but he grew up in Copenhagen. So if you can just imagine that melting pot of acoustics growing up, that makes you have a voice that sultry.
Yeah. He was also in Usual Suspects.
And he was also in Do the Right Thing. He was discovered by Spike Lee. They went to college together.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, I know. So, and if anybody here watches Breaking Bad, he plays probably one of the best villains ever in TV history.
I think everyone has watched Breaking Bad, haven't they?
I don't know.
Everyone should. If you're stuck at home, why aren't you watching Breaking Bad?
One of and you know what? Breaking Bad does in fact follow the Sam trope of TV. Sam trope is that the best episode is the slice of life episode. And this slice of life episode of Breaking Bad involves being trapped in the room for the entire episode with a fly in it, and it is the best episode.
Oh, goodness. His mother did a recording of songs from Carmen Jones.
So Amanda is going to send that to me, and I'll post it on Facebook. so
Robin
that
Jones?
all of you lovely people can listen to it. Yeah.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
there
I'll
like
have
a
to find it.
YouTube link?
I just saw a picture of the album, but I'll have to find it.
Yeah. If you can find a link, I would love to share that because, like, again, what else are you guys going to do during the apocalypse?
Yeah. It's Lisa Foster is her name. Leesa Foster.
Yes. So he is kind of the perfect person to play the genie / man in the mirror because I'm stuck here with the man in the mirror. God, I hate myself sometimes.
Yep.
But no, he has a very otherworldly voice. I think a lot of that has to do with his upbringing and just having such beautiful and wonderful parentage.
And I think that also in a way contributes to him being able to play a character like the genie, because he kind of, like, while he is clearly deeper skinned, he kind of, like, he has a very unique face. Like,
he does. And like one of the reasons why I cued the jazz music earlier is sometimes people get offended of like, oh, you're just making somebody who's dark skinned a genie, even though they're not really like Iranian or Turkish and it's like, yeah, that can be a problem, but you're talking about something that isn't actually human.
Uh-huh.
And is just from that culture. And even then, it's not like entity that is exactly like you. And he does have such an otherworldliness about the way he looks.
He has this kind of gorgeous multiculturalism.
He does. It's not like
in his face.
It's not like Will Smith being the genie, you know?
No, that's
like
I think that's what I meant.
Yeah, like Will Smith is Will Smith. He is kind of like a culture of himself, and it does kind of pull you out of it. But you mentioned Robin Williams earlier.
Mm-hmm.
When Disney was working on Aladdin, they made the genie with him in mind, and part of it has to do with how bizarre his voice is. He doesn't sound human whenever... Well, he didn't sound human whenever he was doing a shit ton of cocaine.
I think he was clean by then. I think he got clean in the 80s.
He did, but that was largely influenced by his earlier stand-up whenever he was coked out. So, and I'm not judging. We do not shame people here for their addictions. You know, Lord knows you and I both have our vices.
I most of it's cats. Robin Williams.
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about addiction. I'm just going to sit over here and drink my 5th cup of coffee.
In my beverage of choice. Which may or may not have quantum spirits in it. I'm not at liberty to tell you. Anyway, Giancarlo Esposito is bloody perfect for this role. Not only as Sidney Glass, because he is sort of like swarmy, and they always make him look like a like a 20s and 30s detective.
Yeah, he looks
Storybrooke.
For all his multiculturalism, he looks really like kind of waspy. And he acts kind of waspy, Sidney Glass, and I kind of love it.
He's a Poindexter.
Yeah, he's annoyed.
He's annoyed.
But he's chilling out in his lamp, looking in a mirror, checking up on the status of his guy liner.
Oh.
And,
he's
the guy
not
liner is so real.
Guy liner. You know what? Can we stop pretending like we don't know who Hook is?
I don't know who Hook is.
You don't? You've never seen the pictures?
I've seen the pictures.
Okay. So we can drop the facade of not seeing the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I think Giancarlo Esposito does guyliner better.
He does like definitely a more smoky kind of buffed out guyliner than Hook does. His is definitely more defined, while Giancarlo's is more smoky and diffused is the word I was looking for, which kind of suits his character.
And as we in the industry would say, is on fleek.
It is on fleek.
Whereas Hook is bold but sloppy. And that is also very indicative of his personality.
Yeah, he's also tight-lining, which Giancarlo, from what I could see, isn't. But that's a thing for makeup people.
Makeup people, let us know what you think. Who did it better?
Who wore it better? That can be our Instagram post for the week. Who wore it better, Hook or Giancarlo?
That's definitely going to be part of the Instagram feed, but I think the working title for this episode is just going to be a PSA.
Oh god.
Or
guys, you're at home. Your girlfriend, significant other, partner, I'm sure has eyeliner. Try it. See what it does for you.
Sam and Amanda's After Apocalypse special.
Yeah, just make sure you blend it out so it doesn't make your eyes look smaller.
Yeah. Think about the mushroom cloud over Chernobyl. Is that what it's resembling? Then you're doing it right.
Rock your whatchamacallit from Panic at the Disco.
Goddamn door?
Yep, that one. So, back onto the plot.
Fine. Actually, no. The fairy tale portion of this is wonderful. The CGI does not bother me. The eyeliner is perfect. The genie is summoned. Giancarlo Esposito is summoned to King Leopold, who I don't think we've mentioned him by name yet. Have we?
No, I don't think they've mentioned him by name.
No, so I'm calling him King Leopold out of courtesy for the viewers, but King Leopold is Snow White's father.
Regina's husband in the fairy tale world.
Yes.
And he's kind of a dick.
You know what? He's not a dick. He's a boob.
I think he's kind of a dick because of what he does.
I think he's both.
But
he's a bit of both.
Genie gives him the rundown and says, like, no wishing for more wishes, no wishing for life or death, no wishing for love, no wishing for more
But he
wishes.
does it in the tone you're using, and that's
he
wonderful.
Straight up does it.
He is clearly annoyed.
You cannot wish for life or death. You cannot blah, 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 blah. And then the king goes, well, I have everything I want. I just wish for everyone in my kingdom to be happy, and everyone who comes into it to be happy.
And then the genie's like, well, what the fuck? You summoned me out of the lamp. I need to do these 3 wishes.
Did you wake
and then
me
just
up?
like,
did you bring me here? Sorry.
I live!
Oh God, you're gonna have to cut that. That's gonna break everybody's headphones. It almost broke mine.
I'll edit it.
But so the genie says that he wishes to be free, and the king says, well, I wish that you're free. And then Giancarlo is like, listen, all magic comes with a price. I mean, all wishes come with a price. And King Leopold says, well, I wish to give my 3rd wish to you.
Do we want to unpack that right now?
Do we?
Hold on.
We can unpack it on the end. So he says, what do you want now that you're free? The genie says, true love. I'm really going to tear through this a little bit.
No, he does not say that. He does not say that. He's like, I mean, that's what he does, but he's like, I wish to give you my last wish. And he's like, I have granted 1,001 wishes, and it has gone wrong 1,001 times, so I will never make my last wish. And he's like, you know what? I just want to, like, go out, and I want to be where the people are.
And he does say he wants to find true love, the one thing
eventually
that his curse has kept him from.
Yeah. So, but like, you know, there's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But
and Leopold is
that's
like,
not what
y'all
the show
can live
tells
with me.
And you'll be.
He's like, if you wish to find true love, you will find it at my castle or something like that.
And he's right, because he sees Regina, who, you know what? It's not typical black, but I love I
No,
love
there
the
is.
dress and
There's
the
a costume design note that I want to get to, so put a pin on it, because that is a great dress, and it's also white and kind of off-white, which, put a pin in it.
You know what? I already put a pin for the conversation, so you know what I'm going to do because it has to do with fashion?
2 pins.
Yes.
Pins. So, he meets Regina and Snow White, and then the king is kind of a dick to his wife, talking about how pretty Snow is and how much she reminds him of his first wife, and and
Which
Regina
is a
is just
huge dick
sitting
move.
in the back of the room. Nobody is looking at her. She's at a table by herself. Just
Which,
okay.
okay.
I didn't get invited to this party.
Which would never happen, by the way.
Well, he's up on a little pedestal giving a speech. But
no, even then, the active queen always sits next to the husband. You can't have you're treating women as objects and not objectifying them cake too.
But the way I kind of gathered it is she's at a larger table with an empty seat next to her. So I'm assuming he was sitting next to her and got up and for some reason went to the other side of the room.
Well, that's even worse.
How much he loves Snow White.
That's even worse because the king never sits at the back of the table.
He wasn't sitting, he was standing.
Well, the point being, when everybody gets in council, the room is supposed to focus on him.
But why would he go to the other side of the room to talk? Whatever. She leaves the party.
That's why I bring it up. It's because it's show, I get what you're doing, but those of us who, know things, we see this.
Needs of the plot.
Ugh. Anyway.
So Jeannie
follows
to
a
her
wonderful
out.
balcony scene.
Yeah, she's out with her childhood tree, still wearing a fantastic off-white outfit. Mm-hmm. And the genie comes and she's like, the tree and I have something in common. Both of us are trapped here. Neither of us can leave. And he's like, well, I'm going to make you feel better. Look in a mirror because you're gorgeous. Because Leopold calls Snow the fairest in all the land. And then Genie calls Regina that as well.
And you know what, single people who are listening, will that work for me? Yes. Yes, it will. That pickup line is smooth, especially if your name is Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, I don't think it would work on me. That's kind of bullshit, but whatever.
But I'm clearly more vain.
Yeah, and more romantic, and I'm more like, oh, okay, whatever. But, so Regina, in a stupid move, writes about it in her diary. You don't see this, but the king summons the genie. It's not
stupid.
That's kind of spoilery for the end of the episode.
Not really.
You don't know how evil Regina is yet, is kind of my point. She's definitely playing up the innocent, I'm trapped kind of thing. You find out at the end of the episode, she probably did this to make the genie kill the king. Spoilers, I guess. So he says in her diary, she wrote about spoilers.
A spoiler alert.
So she wrote in a diary that she's unhappy, but she's in love with a man now that gave her a mirror, and she doesn't say who. So the king's like, you gotta find out who this is.
Oh, wait. Before you go on.
Yeah.
I have been scouring the internet for an opportunity to do this, because even though we get a certain ending with King Leopold, I need to find the audio clip of him saying, I am not a fool.
I am not a fool.
I need to get that clip because he comes back for other flashbacks and he is in fact a fool.
Yeah, so he really is not a smart kid.
I need that audio clip so bad. If I'm able to find it, I will post it now. And if I can't, then I will probably just invest in some really good quality wah-wah music.
You will find her. You will find the clip. You will always find the clip. Um, so Jeannie runs into Regina's dad by the tree, and he's like, I can't get to her. Here's a box. Give her the box. He gives her the
And
box.
remember, this guy willingly let his daughter kill him.
And what's in the box? What's in the box?
Agrabah snakes.
Agrabah snakes is what they call them.
Agrabah vipers.
I hate Agrabah. I hate that word. I hate
There's a party here in Agrabah.
No, it's the Agrabah.
Yes, as like an actual adjective, I think it would technically be right if it was a real place.
It's like Missourian. It's like really bad.
It does not.
Vocally.
Was it last episode we talked about misophonia?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of triggers that a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But, Regina's going to kill herself, is what it comes down to.
With
She's going to stick her hand in the thing.
With snakes from Agrabah.
Yep.
The genie's home country. That coincidence.
Oh, and do you know what she's wearing when she's about to stick her hand into the vipers and Giancarlo, the genie, stops her?
Do I need to unpin this?
Not yet. We're going to get to the end first. She's wearing midnight blue. A dark, deep, royal blue. Not black, but a dark blue. I made sure it wasn't black.
This is why I have you on the show, Amanda. Good job.
I do.
This is why you get paid the big bucks.
Yeah,
No,
but this is why I get paid why I get paid the big bucks for that costume design knowledge I got. But
yes.
Jeannie's like, no, we'll kill him. What if the king didn't have to be alive anymore? So he goes, vipers bite the king, and the king's last words are like, you're right, I never should have made that wish.
Which fails in comparison to the climactic comeback of Wishmaster, which was, wish you never met me.
But, it kind of cements King Leopold still being a dick and not having any self-reflection.
Do we want to unpin that now? Or wait? Let's wait.
Because we're close to the end. Regina says, Genie goes back, and Regina reveals that she never loved him. The guards are after him because it's an Agrabah viper. And he's like, of all the snakes in all of the world.
And she had to walk into mine.
Yes. So he realizes that she was framing him for the murder, and he uses his final wish to say, never want to leave your side. I always want to look upon your face. And he gets trapped into the mirror, and she's like, tee-hee, that's kind of funny. Evil, evil, evil laugh. Still wearing dark blue.
And again, like the fact that we've seen him as the man in the mirror before, really cool. The fact that they did this story to give him a background of why he's in the mirror, on the one hand, I think normally the cynic in me would be like, the best part about the evil queen's mirror man is the fact that he had no explanation.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about purely from like Disney cinematography standards. Okay. The fact that it was a thing that the queen had was fucking terrifying. And that is all we need to know about it. But the level of thought that got put into this, of the merging of the Disney lore with probably not a deep understanding of who the Jinn were, but being able to kind of like borrow elements from that into a cautionary tale and then weave it into what's going on in Storybrooke. Really good.
I thought it was clever.
I really appreciated it. I think if If it was done any other way, I probably would have been very annoyed by it. But
Mhm.
because there was such like an attention to detail, and as you're going to be talking about with like the fashion, because I
Mhm.
I think I know where you're going with this, and I
Yeah.
agree with you. Um, it's like there are some episodes that just kind of get slapped together. See our
Mhm.
previous episode, and there are some where like people just say, you know what? We're just gonna go bananas.
Someone cared. Like,
Someone really cared. Um, I I'm going to give my rating now before we kind of unpin everything,
mhm.
just because like I'm giving this 5 with a bite.
Yeah, I'd say 4.5 is probably a good
Yeah.
one for me.
Yeah, just because like some of the Storybrooke stuff just didn't pass my smell test.
Yeah.
And some of the bitchiness that happens between Emma and Regina, it's like it's hard to tell. Like, as I'm watching this show a second time, it kind of infuriates me a little bit more
Mhm.
because, like, the first time around when I watched it, I was like, okay, I don't really know how to feel about Regina. And I feel like now in my wise old age of like 102 or whatever I am, like, I'm much more sympathetic.
Yeah.
So this episode doesn't get nearly as nasty as some other episodes do, but there's enough of it there that still kind of leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. And
Mhm.
again, I know we said like after Regina kills Graham that there's kind of like no going back
Mhm.
and like differentiating her actions in Storybrooke as something different from her objectives in the fairy tale world. But sometimes it's really hard
Yeah.
to not separate it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because it's like if your whole goal was to rule over everybody, you still have to take responsibility. And it does kind of seem like she's always had that in her. So the fact that she is being kind of a bitch to Emma and like caring for safety about her son
Yeah.
is sort of like secondary to everybody else in Storybrooke, but that doesn't make her any less wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So 5 with a bite.
Yep. So, what did you want to unpin about the wishes?
King Leopold is a very clueless man. um, and the fact that he's more or less like very, I guess, like throwing caution to the wind kind of
Mhm.
person, and is so happy or so quick to tell somebody that he is happy with his kingdom when he's clearly not. You know, the thing with Regina is an issue, and he knows that. And he could have used that to his abilities, but the fact that he was like, I don't want anything. Everything is fine. I'm
Mhm.
going to let you have this wish because my life is perfect is incredibly egotistical.
Yeah. I don't
So,
like him. Like, no, as a actor, he's fine, but as a character,
no,
I
as
don't
an
like
actor,
him.
he's been in a lot of really good things. Like, Danny recognized him immediately.
I don't know if this was when the Dennis realized.
He was in The West Wing.
Oh, okay.
It's
I never really
forbidden.
watched that.
Um, So, no, actually, like as an actor, I kind of appreciate it, and I do, to a certain extent, appreciate the naivete of his character because it kind of informs Snow White's character later on of being so cutthroat. And I'm
Mhm.
not talking about Mary Margaret. I'm talking about Snow White.
Yeah.
Snow White is very cutthroat. Mary Margaret is much more compassionate and stupid. But the fact that he does that with the genie and the fact that he's like, ah, I'm not a fool. I know the queen doesn't love me. He does so many other stupid things later on where
Mhm.
if I had that track of I'm not a fool, I could use that almost every single time he makes a camera appearance.
Every time
Because
you
he's
stub your
stupid
toe,
all the time.
yeah, no, he's constantly wrong about everything. He's like opposite of Lana Parrilla.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of why I appreciate their relationship. Like, it's not good by
Mhm.
any stretch of the imagination, but it's like, I buy into the show's mentality of Regina being evil and manipulative because this boob is the one that married her.
Of all the boobs in all of the world.
And she had to bring hers into my bar.
uh,
So
her
let's
outfit.
talk about fashion.
I was actually for a second there Googling because I wanted to make sure she has kind of three outfits in the fantasy world in this. Most of the time Regina is wearing red, black, dark colors in
Like
both
a
worlds.
dark purple or like a raven blue tends to kind of be a favorite as well.
Yeah, it's mostly black though. It's mostly black on black or red on black. Which anyone who knows costume design 101 means white hat, good guy, black hat, bad guy. So, when she starts out in this episode, when Jeannie first sees her, she is wearing let me see this, a tannish white, like I said, off-white, furry number. It's lovely.
And
But
the headpiece, like, a lot of people probably
furry.
won't know this about me because I've lost so many of my hats and headpieces. But
She a hat queen.
I am a hat queen, but Regina's fur piece in that, oh my god, it is so beautiful.
So, hi honey. So that's what she's wearing when you first run into her, when she's a nice lady. The second scene, she's not wearing off-white. She's wearing light blue. She's wearing
Blue.
a very, I would almost say a bell-like blue. So,
Okay.
for you kids who are playing along at home in Beauty and the Beast, in the first little town, it's a quiet village, like There's Something Wrong with Belle song. She's the only one. She's the only one in town who's wearing blue. She's the only. Stop laughing. It's
sorry.
Something Wrong with Belle. She's a weirdo.
I just love how you phrase that. I'm sorry. I love you.
But she's the only one in the entire town wearing blue.
Yes, and people who like Disney, if I can also like interject in the whole fashion thing too. The costume design teams for the live action films take a lot of cues from the animators.
Not in the live action Beauty and the Beast, they didn't.
That's not a
blue
real
all
movie.
over the place.
That movie doesn't exist. We don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Amanda, do you want to talk about Lion King?
No, I didn't watch that movie this week.
Do I have to put you back in the closet?
I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to watch that movie again. It's bad.
Then don't talk about the bad movies.
It's real bad though. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then for the final scene that she's in, she's wearing a royal blue, like, backless piece, which I don't know what that means. I would have to do actual research. But the other two are low cut front, the other one's low cut back.
So actually, on that note, are there like sequences or rhinestones that are on that?
On the dark blue one?
Yes.
It's
because
like
I thought I saw
pattern.
blue shimmers.
It's like a florally sequence beady thing. The other ones are all jewels.
Yeah, but this one's more like sequin.
Sequence, yes.
I like that.
Yeah. The blue one has jewels on it. The tan one has fur on it, and then the other one has sequins on it that are still shiny. So, yeah, it's just like a character progression thing. It makes me think that, at least on this front, at the start of it, Regina is not a bad person, but at the point where he comes in and she's about to stick her hand in the snake box, that she definitely knows what's going on from there. I don't think she knew what was going on when he gave her the mirror. I think this plan she hatched to kill Leopold came after that. So
You
that's
are
kind of all I
probably
wanted
correct.
to say, is that I don't think she was playing him from the jump.
No, and I think her vendetta, which unfortunately we have to get to at some point.
I don't hate fake David Bowie.
I don't hate fake David Bowie either. I'm just saying it's like minor spoilers for future episodes, like teeny tiny one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad at her motivation.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I would probably do the same thing.
Do you feel like me? She's to kind of word it delicately, mad at the wrong person.
Yes, I feel
think
like
her anger is misguided.
I feel like the writers have built her up to be such a smart person that for her to follow that line of logic, even in anger, because that's the thing. A lot of people sometimes see like blind rage as like a MacGuffin for people doing stupid things. And a lot of the times, like, even though it does happen, it's not the thing that usually happens.
Yeah, it's not usually that random.
She's methodical enough. And it's not like... The other thing, too, is like the vanity thing kind of comes up a lot with Regina. But it
doesn't play into her motivation.
Not at all. And it's only with Snow White.
Yeah.
Like, when Snow White is involved with it...
We'll unpin it in a couple episodes.
You know what? No. No, it's nasty enough that I'm like, that's why there's a bite out of this apple.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, some of the things of like, and again, this is why I have the morality tally chart, is because the show likes to yo-yo with how we're supposed to feel about her on a regular basis. But, I mean, you and I are both evil queens. We know what it's like. So, that's the thing that we're most worried about. And it's not our fault that the writers can't decide, like, how much she takes her own vanity into consideration. And really, the whole, like, fairest of them all thing, I think, and you can, like, this is weird, I think she was using it as an excuse to get Giancarlo Esposito on board with it. You know? Like a whole, oh, this man thinks I'm pretty. Let me use that to my advantage. I don't think that the whole vanity thing was, like, real, because the whole hatred of Snow White had to do with, like, what's going to happen in a few episodes from now.
From the strictly the visual storytelling aspect of that, I think I'm trying to work my way around this without spoilers. I don't think it didn't matter to her. How's that? I don't think the vanity was an excuse. I think it was the larger sentiment of, I will never love you the way I love my daughter and my first wife, and you're stuck here.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily a vanity issue.
Yeah. That's a separate issue. Rubbing her nose into a shitty situation is kind of what I would say. It's not just that you're stuck here married to this guy. It's that he will never love you as much as he loved his late wife, and you are just kind of feeling unwelcome and trapped here, and that enters into stuff that happens in a later episode, and I don't want to talk more about it, but I think her motivation, I don't think vanity has nothing to do with it. Yeah, no, it's not there. Like, if this was a pie chart, I'd say, like, vanity is, like, a nice slice. Yeah, I'd say it's probably an eighth. Yeah, if that. Like an eighth. No, an eighth. That's good. That's good. I like that, Amanda. I like that. It's like an eighth. Yeah.
And there's like a bunch of other
I'd
things.
say revenge is probably about 75%. And
Maybe
other
90.
things are different amounts that I don't want to talk about.
Can we maybe make like 1% of that pie chart Jennifer Gooden's ears?
Yes, definitely
Okay.
it's her ears.
Yes.
Oh, God.
It's mouse propaganda.
Another 1% is Leopold's boobiness.
His boobness, absolutely.
And the rest of it has to be discussed at a later time for a later episode. But we gotta watch Ever After first.
We do. Yes, folks. We're at the halfway point. This is episode 11.
Not of
Once
the
Upon a
entire
Time.
show of this season.
Of this episode of Once Upon a Time, it's episode 11. It's the midway point. For us, this is episode 10. So I didn't mind making this a slightly longer episode, but me and Amanda want to tell you right now, we're going to be watching Ever After for our next
It's one of my
episode.
favorite movies.
And
It's one of my
I have
favorite
never
Cinderella movies.
I have never seen it before.
It's so good. It's so
And not
much
only
to say
that-
about it.
Not only that, but the next, I want to say like 4 episodes of Once Upon a Time are really good episodes.
Mm-hmm.
The next one in particular taps into one of my personal favorite fairy tales.
Yeah, mine too.
I know, it's like, God, I can't even talk about it right now just because it's like, it's so good. I'm not even going to tell you what my rating is right now, but I think most people would be floored when I say what it is.
Yeah. People, next episode, I'm going to be coming in with the notes and the graphs and charts and stuff that I keep on talking about, because Ever After is a fantastic. Let's be fair, I have not seen it in probably 10 years, but I freaking loved this movie when it came out, and I've seen it repeatedly. I remember a lot about it, but I'm sure I forget a lot about it.
You know what? We'll both be virgins for a day.
I'm so excited.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited for that movie. And we're going to hopefully watch it together in person, in real life.
Guys, thank you so much for making it to the midway point with us.
And to
I know
the longest episode ever.
I know that this one was a bit of a drag, but I'm not going to apologize for it, because there's a lot of people right now who want entertainment and they want something to distract them from everything else that's going on right now. And what me and Amanda are doing is something that's not only enjoyable, but it's also socially responsible.
Yes. I have some health conditions that make it better for me to stay inside at this current time. Don't want to get into detail because mainly it'd be boring. But if you have anything that makes you more susceptible to illness, stay inside, stay safe. Get married to a dentist so he can go outside for you.
And I actually am my partner's dentist. He unfortunately has a lot of conditions that I won't necessarily go into.
Because they're boring?
Well, actually, I don't mean to be a dick, but they're probably, like, for people who like train wrecks, are probably a little bit more exciting than yours. But I'm not going to do it because I value both of your lives on the same caliber.
Well, and frankly, not to be an even bigger dick than you, it's nobody's business.
Exactly. And the point being is I don't want to engage in a lot of social interactions because that means that the people that I live with are at risk.
Yeah, so be smart, be safe, check the CDC, check the World Health Organization. Don't listen to Trump, not to get political, but don't. He's an idiot.
Hey, people, if you're from Pittsburgh, I know there's at least probably 80% of the people who listen to this are from Pittsburgh, or at least like the greater Pennsylvania area. Dr. Rachel Levine has been doing live talks almost daily, if not weekly, about updates. Listen to her.
Yeah.
She gives probably the best sound advice, and she has one of the most soothing voices. So
just don't listen to the orange.
Yeah, like don't
Anyone who can't
It's one
apply
thing to
a
be
spray
cautious.
tan properly is not worth listening to for medical advice.
Listen to Amanda.
Listen to
She
me.
knows how to identify eyeliner from
And
a
bad spray
storytelling perspective. Listen to her.
Yeah, listen to me. Don't go outside. It's not worth it. Stay inside with cats.
Cats
No,
are more
right,
fun
buddy.
anyway.
You want to say that, Ramirez? He's looking out the window.
Before I forget, I wanted to also say, for anybody who is able to comment, let me know if you want me and Amanda to do any kind of live readings anytime soon, because I'm able to make that happen via Facebook.
Nobody wants to hear my voice.
Well, I mean, they might like to see your face.
My dulcet tone. No, they definitely don't want to see my face. I haven't put makeup on in days.
I haven't shaved in years.
Oh my god. Listen, like when this is all over, my roots are going to need done and everything, and I'm going to need a haircut, but my skin's going to be fantastic.
My skin is already fantastic, save for the slight rosacea that I have. But
I've been stress moisturizing.
my grays have been coming in fantastically.
I wish I had nice grays.
I am a really good salt and pepper daddy, and I'm going to own it.
My mom has been rocking some gray. Like, she's been getting some sparkle in, and I actually kind of love my mom's gray hair, and I can't tell her that.
I'll tell her
probably hit me.
I'll tell her that, and I'll
us.
say it's my own opinion.
Well, let's go.
No, she definitely doesn't listen to me.
I want to get lunch.
Okay. Let's do lunch. Let's do virtual lunch.
Just so you know, before editing, this has lasted about 2 hours. So we've been recording for 2 hours. That's not going to be the final length of the episode, but that's how long we've been talking, and we started at noon.
Yes.
So
you know what? I'm Sam Logston, and I am surrounded by enough animals and few enough humans to get me through this.
I'm Amanda Pierce, and I'm in a pretty similar situation.
And I'm not talking about the episode necessarily, but it might not be the end.
I hope to God it'll eventually be happy again.
And you know what? You guys are always welcome to pull up on a nice couch and make the drink of your choice.
Stay a safe social distance at the party.
Socially distance yourself, but you know what? You're always welcome to this very safe and very virtual party. Take care.
Bye. Oh no, I dropped my phone.